Okay, hey guys, so you heard the hype and decided to try CBD, either for yourself or for your business. But you quickly come to discover that with all the brands and the various options that are out there, it's very difficult to know which product is best for you. In today's video, we'll cover the difference between the two most common types of CBD oil available in the marketplace today. We'll cover what they are, what the difference is between the two, and which may be better for you depending on your situation. But before we get started, I want to make sure that you understand that Movida and our sister company, MyFitLife, do not claim to diagnose, treat, or cure any illness or disease with any of our products or programs. And if we're meeting for the first time, my name is Morentin. I'm the owner and founder of Movida. I have 30 plus years of experience in holistic health. I specialize in extraction and formulation. As a matter of fact, I created all of the formulations for our products, and they are proprietary to Movida. I'm also known as Patient Zero for the company. After going blind due to glaucoma, I got my vision back with our oils and started Movida so I never have to go blind again. Okay, so let's get started. CBD Isolate versus full spectrum oil. What's the difference and which is better? I'm going to first go through the steps it takes to go from hemp plant to full spectrum oil to CBD Isolate. It'll help you make a better and more informed decision. So it all starts with the hemp plant. Our hemp plants typically range from 14 to 21% of active CBD in the flower. This is much higher than the typical 0.5 to 3% that is found in industrial hemp plants, and it greatly affects the quality of the end product. The first extraction results in a crude oil containing all the cannabinoids, terpenes, phytonutrients, enzymes, and other plant matter such as chlorophyll, lipids, and waxes. This first extraction typically results in a concentration of 60 to 65% of active CBD. Further extractions such as winterization and distillation result in full spectrum oil containing all the cannabinoids and all the terpenes. Depending on the skill and process used, they'll have more or less terpenes because it is an art form. Full spectrum distillate oils typically result in concentrations of 77 to 82% or approximately 80% active CBD in the oil. Okay, so final extractions isolate the CBD molecule into its pure crystalline form, separating it from the other cannabinoids and terpenes. Thus the name CBD Isolate, the isolated CBD molecule. Our typical ranges at Movida are 99.9% plus of active CBD. So basically, CBD Isolate is 100% CBD. To recap, the steps of CBD extraction are hemp plant to crude to full spectrum to isolate. And the active CBD concentration increases the further you extract until you get to the isolated CBD molecule, CBD Isolate. Now that you have a basic understanding of the process, let's discuss CBD distillate and isolate in further detail. Okay, CBD distillate, also known as full spectrum oil. Remember, it's CBD dominant. It's 80% on average of CBD in the oil. It has the full cannabinoid profile and the terpenes. And that's why they call it a full spectrum oil, because it has that full cannabinoid profile. So really quick, the CBD is a cannabinoid and it's beneficial, but there's, some other cannabinoids in the oil as well, and they're beneficial as well. The terpenes are like the essential oil of the plant, so they have benefit as too, right? So all those things together give a great benefit. But so those are the pluses of having a full spectrum oil. But it's on the other side of it, it's more difficult to infuse into recipes and formulations. So it's a more thoughtful process, because there is an art form involved. There's math calculations required because it's an 80% of the actual oil, so you have to do these math calculations to determine how much oil to put into the recipe or formulation. Okay. And another thing to consider is, especially if you're putting it into a food product, is it has a flavor profile. So you would have to probably adjust your like formulation or recipe a little bit to account for that flavor profile if that's something that you have to take into consideration, right? And then also a biggie is that it contains THC, you know. So for those that get tested, they're gonna test positive, right? And so that's undesirable for those that do get tested, and it's also undesirable for those that just do not want to get high. And that's the vast majority of people, like over 90% of people we found over the past 3 years of surveying people, that over 90% of people do not want to get high and they want to avoid THC at all costs, right? So, so this is something to consider when you're first starting out with the CBD, and, you know, especially if you're putting it into formulations or recipes, okay? Okay, so the pure CBD isolate. Remember, it's a crystalline powder, and it's pure CBD. So pretty much, you know, our stuff is usually about 99.0 to 99.9% CBD, which is basically 100% CBD. You know, it's the isolated molecule. You know, there's nothing else around it. You know, no other cannabinoids, no other terpenes, anything. And especially the way we do it in this powder form, it's super easy to infuse into formulations and recipes and get full, complete infusion, right? So you'll get, like, if you're doing, like, you know, pieces, then there'll be equal amounts of CBD in each piece, right? That's very, very important, especially for, you know, things like regulations and stuff like that, right? There's no flavor profile, you know, so it just makes it super crazy easy. That 1-to-1 ratio, that no math involved. Like if you need 10 grams of CBD in a formulation or recipe, then you just throw 10 grams of isolate in there. It's that easy. It's really super simple. So on the technician side, it makes it easy for them. And then it's THC free. Like all those things that people worry about, that they don't have to with this. It's THC free. And, you know, you'll find people just love that and will go be attracted to the product because of that. It's really, really interesting, but it's really, really cool. Okay, so let's go over isolate versus full spectrum oil. So first off is the ease of use. Isolate is just much easier to infuse, and calculations are much easier, which means less margin for error on the technical side. It's just a no-brainer that way. The flavor profile, full spectrum oil has a flavor profile and isolate does not. It's just that simple. On the manufacturing side, I feel that it's best to start off with isolate so you don't have to worry about the full spectrum oil changing the flavor profile of the product that you have. If your community enjoys the CBD and starts buying the product, then you can experiment with the full spectrum oil down the line. But you first want to make sure that your community is buying the product and is attracted to CBD at all in the first place, okay? And going with an isolate that's THC free, in my view, in my opinion, is it's the way to go, right? And then effect, right? There's when isolate first came out, it was like the end all be all, like it was like literally more expensive than gold, you know, but it was like sought after crazy and very hard to get. And then now you have these people coming in that are saying like isolate's worthless, it doesn't work, and blah blah blah, and it doesn't have effect, and the full spectrum works better, and this and that. But it depends on who's extracting, you know, how it was grown. All these different things come into play. And at Movida, truly 90% to 95% of our success stories come from our pure crystalline isolate products, right? So that just throws all the naysayers in the wind, basically, right? It's effective. There's no doubt about it, especially if you're going to Movida for your product. And the fact that it's THC free, it just makes it a no-brainer when you're first trying out, on the consumer end and on the manufacturer end. You know, that's the way I feel. You know, because you could see how it affects you on the consumer end, and you could see how how easy it is to formulate, infuse into recipes and stuff like that. and then see how your, like we said, how your community reacts to it, if they buy it at all, if they come back for more, get rebuys and repurchases. And like we said, after that, you go into experimentation with full spectrum if you have the need for it. If not, then you just stay with the isolates and have fun and help your people and make a good living. Okay, just some closing thoughts on the isolates versus the full spectrum oils. So there is a difference in extraction and the processes that you go from hemp plant to full spectrum to isolate. And our isolate is proven, like we said, like 90 to 95% of our success stories are from the isolate. And that's what we call the Movida difference. There's a difference in quality and effect from manufacturer to manufacturer. But especially if you're getting the oils from us or the isolates from us, I would do the isolate first, then try the full spectrum oil if curious, if need be down the road. But the isolate's proven, and it's the most attractive to the end user, So that's what I would go for first. Okay, that's the end of our presentation on CBD isolate versus full spectrum oil. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, show support by hitting that like button and subscribing to our channel. If you'd like more info, follow the links on this slide, and there's more information and links in the description below this video. Again, this is Morentin with Movida. Thank you and have a beautiful day. Peace.